Let's see how fast we can get the Renault Megane E-tech to charge on a rapid charger. It's a beautiful day, so the battery should be nice and warm. Let's go for a drive to Ionity. I've got 15% battery, which is quite low. I need to charge it. I'm too tight to charge at home, and also it doesn't charge very well on a charging timer anyway, it seems, which I'll try and do another video about. So I'm going to go to my local Ionity and I'm going to see if I get there with about 10% battery. I'll see if Renault's claims. So I'm going to travel there. I'll get there hopefully with about 10%. Let's see what the car thinks. But the idea is that I'll get there with 10% battery and I'll charge to 80% and I'll see if the charge from 10 to 80% only takes 30 minutes, which is what Renault say it should take. Now, the reason I want to test this is because I've done a few rapid charges in the past with this car. I've had this car about 3 months now, and I've never had that sort of speed. I've never got to 80% in 30 minutes before. It's always been much more. Ionity. You see that the keyboard takes up most of the screen, which is a bit stupid, so you've got to do that. And Hive is the one we're going to go to. I've got to cover up where my location is. Normally I do a blur, but I can't be bothered and I don't have time, so there we go. So it says I'm going to get there with 11% battery actually, so I'll try and drive a little bit faster maybe if I can, and we'll see if we can get there with 10%. Pretty overdressed. I should have been wearing like a t-shirt and shorts really, but my legs aren't good enough for shorts. It's now gone to 8% after a couple of minutes driving with the air conditioning on, so I'll see if I can get there with 10. I drive quite carefully, it'll be fine. Well, okay, very happy about that. Got here with 10%. Actually, I thought I was going to get here with 9%, but I drove quite carefully. And there's a really nice hill getting down here, so that helps with the regen a little bit. So let's plug in and we'll see what kind of speeds we get. By the way, let's just have a look at the efficiency. So this got 3.8 miles per kilowatt hour on the way here, which is not that great, really. I always say with this car that I would expect more. It would be about 4.2, I think, in the Kia Niro, probably even more than that in the Kona, Hyundai Kona. So it's not that efficient, but this one doesn't have a heat pump. The new ones do, and I did have the air conditioning going. Okay, let's plug in. Always a miracle if I can do this one-handed. Oh, blimey! In like butter. Okay, connect OK. So I've got to find my card as always. This is the Shell card with Onto. So I scan that there. So we're going to see what kind of speeds we get. Now, the maximum this car does is 129 kilowatts. So it should, because it's so hot today, it should go straight in at 129 is my guess. Well, this is saying 80% in 38 minutes. 37 minutes, maybe that'll go down. I mean, you'll see it is very fast at the beginning because we started at 10%, of course we got 3% in 1 minute. So that's pretty good really. It's still saying 36 minutes, 35 minutes. Okay, maybe it's going to go down then. 30 degrees in the car apparently, so I'm going to keep the door open. What I don't want to do, I don't want to turn on the air conditioning, just because I don't want that to impact the speed. If it impacts the speed, it might not. So I actually came here a couple of weeks ago. I've been dying to do this test since I've had the car, and I came a couple of weeks ago and I just charged for 5 minutes, and it was really just a case of trying to see what kind of charge speed I would get. Now when I did that, it was 17 degrees in the cabin. I don't know what the ambient temperature was. Now, ordinarily I would put in a dongle into a car and I could find out what temperature the battery was, because that determines the charge speed, but I can't do that here because this is a car with Onto, and Onto if I can't even find the OBD port where I would plug in the dongle, but even if I could find it, Onto occupy it I think anyway with their little dash cam thing. So when I came before and I just did a 5-minute top up, I added 33 miles in 5 minutes, and that was kind of spring temperature I suppose, and it very briefly went up to full speed, but that only lasted a few seconds and then it kind of dipped down. Ordinarily the maximum, so until then really the maximum I'd seen in this car was about, was it 80 or 90 kilowatts, I can't remember. To be honest, that figure doesn't matter too much because it can hit that speed and go really quick, and then it can just go down like that. So what matters really is the charging curve and how long it can sustain those. those high speeds. So that peak speed then of 129 kilowatts, it really doesn't sustain that for very long. Maybe if I got it closer to 0%, then maybe it would have had that, you know, maybe that point there is when you get that kind of really high speed. So this is my local Ionity. It's Ionity at Hive, and Folkestone is just down there. So this is really useful for if you're going on the Eurotunnel. And we've got 4 Ionities here. These are 350 kilowatt chargers. You've got the services down there. There's a GridServe charger, 1 or 2, I can't remember now. There's a GridServe charger just there. So if you're stuck and these are all occupied, you can go down there, but it's a slower charger. But ordinarily, I mean, I'm just hanging around the car because I'm a geek and I'm doing videos, but ordinarily, of course, while you're charging, you would do something else. 30 minutes if you're on a long journey, 30 minutes is pretty good time, really, you know, to get a snack and then do whatever, stretch your legs, and then go back to the car. I never, generally, 90% of the time, I never really feel like I'm waiting for a car to charge. As I say, only I'm a special case, really, just because I'm doing videos and faffing around with all that kind of stuff. That is clear. I mean, obviously, because we've been here for a while now, that is clearly wrong then. So I don't know what they're talking about. So Renault's claim of 30 minutes to 80%, I just need to double check that that's correct. I looked on EV database, which is like the Oracle, and that said 30 minutes. So here's a silly thing about the Megane. If you put your foot on the brake and then turn on the power button, it will disconnect the charge. At least I found that anyway. It will disconnect the charge. It's just silly, isn't it? I think pretty much every other electric car I've used, you put your foot on the brake and turn on the power button to turn it on and not use the 12-volt battery. The Megane is a bit weird, I think, probably that I don't know if that's the case in this. It kind of seems to be on all the time. Anyway, when you're doing a charge session, don't put your foot on the brake and press power, just press the power button. So that's saying another 17 minutes to get to 80%. 46 minutes if I really wanted to charge to 100. So 17 minutes. How long have I been here? 15. 16. Okay. Well, what's 16 plus 17? Do maths. 33 minutes. So that's actually 33. Based on that, this is 33 minutes to 80%, not 30. Okay. Well, I think I owe Renault an apology actually, because it's not 30 minutes to 80%. They don't say 30 minutes to 80%, do they? There's EV database that must have that wrong. Scroll down on the Renault website on the Megane page, go down and then you can calculate the charging speed, and that's saying 15 to 80% is 36 minutes. I'll put it on screen. So actually it's not 30 minutes. So I'm not going to be too harsh on it. So if you're the kind of person that's really interested in charging curves, is it you? It is, isn't it? If you're really interested in charging curves, then go onto the Fastned website. Fastned, if you don't know about Fastned, I have done a video about them when I had the Fiat 500e. Absolutely brilliant, brilliant charging network. I love them, and I just wish that they were all over the country. You get loads of them, or far more in Europe. They're starting to build quite a few in France, which is quite... They're a Dutch company, by the way. Loads in the Netherlands. Quite a few in France, not enough in the UK. Anyway, they have on their website charge curves for pretty much every electric car, and it tells you what you can expect, and they've done that on all the cars. So what I'll do is I'll put that on screen now so you can see what it's like for the Megane. But do go on there, it's a really, really good resource. And while I'm sitting here doing nothing as well, just to say that there's a really good app called ChargeFinder, and I use it for one reason and one reason only, and that is that you can, before you go to an Ionity, I think it's probably just Ionity that works with, apologies if it works for more, I'm not sure. If you go to Ionity, you can find out what percentage each stall is at. Firstly, you can see if it's occupied or not, and also what percentage the person is charging at. So before I left, I could see that I think it was 2 stalls were in use, I think. One of them was at 90%, one of them was at 99%, so I knew that by the time I got here, I would have a good chance of charging. If all 4 were occupied, because it is a Sunday, it's hot, and maybe people are travelling, if they were all occupied, I probably wouldn't have come here. But yeah, so really good ChargeFinder. Have a look at that. Just go down, click on it, and you can find out that kind of info, which I think is really good. I wish all apps had that information on them. I don't even think the Ionity app has that. But that's really useful, isn't it? So we're at 55 kilowatts at about 72 battery. So what's amazing is I keep thinking back about the Ioniq 5, which would still be going strong at, what was it, about 150 kilowatts probably about this point. It's that was a monster. Right, we're almost at 30 minutes. Okay, so it's actually 10 to 73% in 30 minutes. It does start to get really busy here actually, and obviously I'm occupying a charger, so I feel guilty given I can charge at home. There we go, 80%. That's how I'm going to stop. We've got 223 miles at 80%. 36 minutes and it's boiling, and I'm going to turn on the car and go because someone else wants to use this charger. Hope you found this video interesting. Thank you very much for watching. Please press the subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified of other videos. And I would say I'll be back soon, but there was like, what was it, a 2-month gap between the last video and this one. So I'm not going to lie to you. I'm very busy at the moment, but I will do my best to get more videos produced very soon, including what Flaviana thinks of the Megane. Would you like to see that? I think a lot of you would. Okay, bye for now.